Yes. Meow, meow, lol. No thing. These are some early sketches that I made for pigeon, and then dog, and then the Christmas tree person. Two cars are colliding onto each other, and it's covered by a gigantic flame. And there's an architecture that's fueling the fire. And this is where the story actually begins. This is where the story begins. This is where the story begins. This is where the story begins. Okay. Across America, in front of Home Depots or other lumber stores, hardware stores, there's a line of immigrant workers waiting for day labor. People call them the Mexicans or the Latinos, but the truth is that they're from Guatemala, El Salvador, Belize, Ecuador, any places south of the border. They are the invisible laborers of the American society, the third party that we have not discussed about. They do not have the voting power, they do not have the financial means, but they are the human power behind the society and the labors that make our society function. I like to think of them, or I like to call them, as the invisible shadows of our economic system. When I was driving from the Echo Park to MacArthur Park and back into Echo Park, Home Depot was on the way to Los Angeles. The city of Los Angeles looked like a metropolis from Fritz Lang's film, dark, almost like the Batman's Gotham City or the Superman's Metropolis. Home Depot was blinking its orange sign. Welcome to the new paradise, you lonely cat. That was a sign on it's our Barrios. She's our artist. She made a sign in Crown Heights. Is Los Angeles and New York a paradise for immigrants? A potato is giving a man an advice, a sincere advice for his life. The man waiting for work in front of Home Depot or other lumber stores. The developers and the people who hire them treat them like potatoes, or at least invisible, disposable, dispensable labor. The train of labor is coming into the capitalist city. What they have is a solitary solidarity, not a solidarity of solitaries. They have a community of absence, and it's just between them, constructed by language, religion, hometown, economic situations. Walking in Los Angeles is a very specific thing. You're either on a car or waiting for a car, on a bus or on an airplane. The people who walk for a long distance is a very specific kinds of people. Non-space is my home. Mechanical happiness. You are a machine for living. Shared unhappiness. Black on black painting, white on white painting. Yay! I thought of taking a trip across the LA through the rivers. You can go through the LA River and experience the industrial development, gentrification, and urban development. I was once sitting at the outreach of the outstretch of the LA River and was wondering where the water comes from and where it's going. I was about 14. When you're sitting in a car, it's a very particular experience. You're sharing this space and time with these people, but you're not really looking at each other because you're all looking toward the road. And the person who's driving has a little bit more of a power, but it doesn't mean that the person owns the space. It's a shared space. When we drove into Koreatown, the familiar language starts showing up. The billboards, shiny, shiny, a little bit outdated at certain times. The person who doesn't understand these languages must feel alienated from these familiar signs that are for me. A group of people in a car. In Los Angeles, like New York or any other cities in America, the highway is the prominent public space, and the car is the prominent private space. The private spaces are floating in public spaces, but they rarely interact with one another. They're drifting in the highways. The only time that they are in encounter with one another is when they clash. Tract homes, civic spaces, and urban slums. This is the 11th Avenue in New York City, and we are standing between 21st and 22nd. Behind us is the Hudson River. As I was just saying, these cars are the prominent private spaces in America and other industrialized and developed nations. I wonder what they're thinking right now. I wonder where they're going. So busy. These roads are the public spaces of cities, suburban places, and the country of developed nations. What do these streets tell me? I can't really decipher. I'm curious. I want to know. I want to listen to them. I want to talk to them. I want to ask them questions. But how? By saying hi? Probably not. By going out with a microphone and interview? I don't know. Should I be in a car to ask them questions? That's a good way. Should I interrupt them in a car or outside of the car? Or should I be a police or a bicycle person or a beggar asking for attention? What I know is that this is bubbles of small private spaces put together as a gigantic flowing public space. What I want to see is more of an encounter between these small private spaces. So we're not alienated, lonely, and displaced all the time. Hopefully we can see that happen one by one.